Question 1. Categorical data that cannot be placed in order, such as favourite colour, is known as nominal data, ordinal data, discrete data, or continuous data. Nominal data can't be put in order. For example, favourite breakfast cereal. The answers you'll get will be a name of some description, hence the term nominal data. Nominal means name. Question 2. The type of graph shown below is known as a bar graph, a sector graph, a column graph, or a histogram. This one is a bar graph. Question 3. The type of graph shown below is known as a bar graph, a sector graph, a column graph, or a histogram. The graph shown is a column graph. Question 4. The histogram below shows that the score of 6 has a frequency of 3, 5, 6, or 7. If we look down on the scores across the horizontal axis and find the score of 6, and we take a note of how tall that column is, if we go up with our eyes to the top of that column where the score of 6 sits, we can see that going across to the frequency values on the left hand side, the vertical axis, we see that that score of 6 has a frequency of 5. Question 5. The histogram below shows a frequency of 3 for which score? Is it the score of 2, 3, 4, or 7? This time, since we're given a frequency of 3, we'll look on the vertical column first for a frequency of 3. You can see that on the left hand side there, I've circled it in blue. And if we go across to find the sorts of columns that match that frequency of 3, we'll see there's only one column, and that is the column that's sitting on the value or the score of 2. So we can say that the frequency of 3 was obtained by the score of 2, or the score of 2 has a frequency of 3. So our final answer there, the score that has a frequency of 3, is the 2. Question 6. One key feature of a histogram is that it has columns that have gaps between them, or the frequency is on the vertical axis, or the columns have consistent heights, or the scores are listed vertically. And there are a lot of features there. We have columns that have gaps between them for option A, and you can see on the diagram that the columns don't have any gaps in between them. They're sitting right next to each other. So I'm not sure that A is correct. Frequency is on the vertical axis. It looks like it. On the left-hand side, the frequency values are listed vertically, so I'm really leaning towards that one. Option C says the columns have consistent heights, but looking at the heights of the columns, they're not consistent. Some are tall, some are short. And the last option was that scores are listed vertically. If we look across the bottom there, we can see the scores are listed sort of on the horizontal axis. So the correct answer there is that the frequency is on the vertical axis. Question 7. Find the mean of 6, 8, 9, 7, 8 and 4. The mean of a set of scores is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. So the sum of the values, if we added up 6 and 8 and 9 and 7 and 8 and 4, we'll get 42. And the number of values, there are 6 values. So 42 divided by 6 will give us a mean of 7 for that set of scores. Question 8. Find the mean if a set of 7 scores has a sum total of 35. The mean of a set of scores is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. And we've been given both of those items in the question itself. The sum of the values, it's stated, has a sum total of 35 for this set of scores, so that goes on top. And the number of values, it said it's a set of 7 scores. So 35 over 7, or 35 divided by 7, which when we calculate that out, that gives us a mean of 5. Question 9. Once the scores are placed in order, the median of 7 scores is the 4th score, the 7th score, the average of the 3rd and 4th scores, or the 3rd score. The median for an odd number of values, and we have 7 scores in this, the median for an odd number of values is the single middle value once the data is placed in order. So we don't know the actual data itself, but we know there's 7 scores. So if we write out just numbers 1 to 7 and sort of indicate that 1 might be the first score and 2 might be the second score, etc., we can get a bit of an idea of the median of that. The median is the single middle value once the data is placed in order. So if you look right in the middle of those 7 scores there, I think we'll be able to pick that our median is the 4th score. Question 10. Once the scores are placed in order, the median of 10 scores is the 4th score, or the 5th score, an average of the 5th and 6th scores, or the 10th score. The median for an even number of values is the average of the 2 middle values once the data is placed in order. So if we look at the numbers 1 through to 10, now these might not necessarily be the exact scores, but they represent the 1st score through to the 10th score if we laid them out in order. And if we look right in the middle there, we can see that there's not one single middle score there. There are two. The 5 and the 6 represent either side of like the middle line if we divided those 10 items up. And so I'm liking the idea that the median, to find the median of 10 scores or an even number of scores, you take the average of the two middle scores. In this case, the median of 10 scores is the average of the 5th and 6th scores. So we would add them together and divide by 2.